What's up, everybody? How's it going? My name is Alexander, also known as Sanderievits, and today I want to share my opinion on a thing that was added recently in Grim Dawn with the new content patch. I am talking about Monster Totems. The addition of those new altars not only going to slightly change leveling and gearing aspect, but it is also going to speed up the process of acquiring both infamy experience with enemy factions, as well as reaching the revere status with your friendly factions. However, you should realize that some of the monsters that are appearing from these totems are going to become a major threat, even for good builds, especially if you are unaware about certain mechanics, which when combined are capable of quote-unquote deleting your character. This is a topic that is very relevant for all players from this point and moving forward, since you will start encountering those totems from normal difficulty until ultimate. Knowing this, I will give you a few tips and tricks which will make your process of quote-unquote cleansing them and acquiring loot more easier. As usual, I will emphasize the fact that this is my subjective opinion. You are free to agree or disagree with everything that I am going to mention in this video. I am going to share some thoughts and give a few insights, but I am not going to insist that you should follow my vision step for step. With that said, let's talk about Monster Totems. First and foremost, you should know that Monster Totems are functioning in the same way as desecrated shrines. Instead of clicking to confirm the beginning of the battle, you will click once and the encounter will start. How many foes and how strong they will be depends on which tier of Monster Totems you located. Generally speaking, they have 3 tiers. The difference between them can be spotted by colors. One thing that I observed is the amount of monsters are higher on all tiers compared to desecrated shrines. Monster Totems are also representing a certain enemy faction. For instance, beasts, ethereals, chthonic, etc. The reward from those Monster Totems is higher than from cleansing desecrated shrines, because you will be capable of receiving more rare, blue or legendary items, and also blueprints as a bonus. That becomes even more noticeable when you are destroying Tier 2 and Tier 3 totems. Additionally, adversaries that are appearing from them are giving you friendly faction experience and infamy points with enemy faction once they are defeated. This fact is changing the leveling process completely, since those structures are not replacing desecrated shrines. You will have both of them in your campaign. I think this is going to mean a lot for those players who are looking for specific items or blueprints that cannot be target farmed from certain enemies or areas in the campaign, and are not willing to switch to Shattered Realm or Crucible mode. Instead, those players will increase their odds of finding desired items by looking for Monster Totems and destroying them multiple times. Basically, if you're going to log out from the game and then you will log back in, all those structures are going to respawn in random areas, and you just have to find them and destroy their defenders. The order in which certain Nemesis bosses are appearing is going to change as well. Previously, no matter what character archetype you are playing, your first faction with which you become Nemesis are beasts. This happens in the majority of cases, unless I'm taking into account writs that are increasing infamy points with enemy factions. Now, with the newly added monster structures, your first Nemesis boss is going to be different. Once again, I'm analyzing campaign playthrough without usage of infamy writs. And even with them, some characters are going to only benefit from a certain Nemesis boss appearing faster than usual, because they might need few specific items that can only be gathered from a boss corpse. The exact same thing is going to happen if your goal is obtaining revere status with some of your friendly factions. Those of you who does not have the opportunity to buy Mandate, which multiplies experience points gained with your allies by 150% now, with the help of Monster Totems, will significantly speed up the procedure of obtaining desired status. I have mentioned good amount of advantages when it comes to these new monster buildings, and some of the more experienced players are waiting for an inevitable drawback. Is this minus so significant that it's going to outvalue all of those pluses? Let me say to you one thing that is going to be crucial for all types of players, newbie or veteran ones. If you have bought 2 DLCs and you are leveling your quote-unquote fresh character from scratch, with the intention of locating and destroying as much monster totems as possible in campaign zones, do keep in mind that even if you had found them in quote-unquote early acts, they are capable of spawning elites and enemies from first and second DLC. And not just regular, easy to deal with trash. I am talking about tough, heavy-hitting and resilient opponents. For instance, Ethereal Colossus, Ethereal Titans, Ethereal Stormbearer, mages from Forgotten Gods that leaving damage over time effect on you when they are dying, etc. Sometimes packs of enemies can be mixed, the few elites from first DLC, few from the original campaign. Other times, game will throw at you nasty enemies that can exploit your weakness effectively. I was facing against 3 elite trolls and who were chain stunning me a lot. You can encounter them as early as Act 1 before reaching Warden Creek. I am talking mostly about Tier 3 and Tier 2 Monster Totems, because Tier 1 creates just several waves of regular enemies as a protection mechanism. I think it is important for you to understand the fact that not only those new enemies are capable of having big health pools and great damage, the majority of them will reduce your resistance parameters to a certain degree, or they will reduce your defensive ability, attack speed, movement speed, and casting speed at the same time, if you are facing several of them. Are you capable of absorbing such blows or negative effects from early levels? I don't think so. It is one thing to try and destroy Tier 1 or Tier 2 Monster Totems, and it's completely another thing to go for destruction of Tier 3 building. I will give you a few general tips and tricks, and then I will say a few words about Tier 3 totems. First and foremost, do not click on these buildings when you are standing very close to it. Otherwise, you will going to be surrounded very quickly. You might have additional means of escape mechanisms like teleport, dashing abilities to a certain spot on the map, etc. They will help you avoid this bad positioning, however, a better option for you is to stand on the edges of this building. This will allow you to stand outside the range of the initial wave of enemies. Second trick that you can apply consists in the fact that you do not have to stay close to this building and its adversaries. When enemies have appeared and created a lot of pools on the ground, you can freely move away to a better spot and then re-engage your combat. The game will still count this as a move towards successful destruction of this totem, and it will create the next wave only when you will move close enough to Monster Totem itself. A third technique that you can use is actually a thing that I am guilty of not doing it myself, and there were instances when the encounter was ruined a bit because of it. Turn off your filters that are highlighting for you rare items, especially if you are playing as an auto-attack archetype and you are not planning to reposition your character. The fact of the matter is that you will see on your screen a lot of loot when you have defeated initial wave of enemies. With loot filter on, it is hard for you not to accidentally click on items that have been dropped on the ground. The problem can be resolved differently if you have installed mod called Grim Internals, which has a function of automatically gathering rare items. However, I am trying to analyze this situation from a player who does not have this mod installed. When it comes to Tier 3 Monster Totems, my only advice that I can give to you is click on them at your own risk, especially if you are just leveling up. I cannot imagine any class combination that is capable of destroying Tier 3 buildings without taking any risks. I had tried doing this myself, as a demolitionist off stream, and I got killed in the process. I suppose your chances will increase at levels 50 to 60, however, you will experience great resistance, so be sure that you are planning accordingly. Let's move on to the conclusion. Now you are aware of such aspects as general information about monster totems, as well as few useful tips and tricks which you can apply to make the process of destroying them and collecting your deserved reward easier. Once again, this is my subjective opinion, and I'm not insisting on following my footsteps. I am just sharing my thoughts with the purpose of informing all viewers about new or confusing mechanics, nothing more, nothing less. On that note, I would like to thank anyone for watching this video. Leave a like, share it, and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoyed this content and want to see more of it. If you wish to be always up to date with our future projects, consider following us on social media pages, Twitter or Facebook. The choice is yours. Also consider supporting us directly via our Patreon page, where you will be awarded with different perks and bonuses depending on the amount pledged. Your help is always appreciated and motivates us to create more videos and improve visual, audio and special effect aspects. With that said, I will see you all in the next videos. Take care!